Alright, let's continue on Chapter 6. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a few tutorials for you on creating a hole and just explaining some of the different design features that we have available to us. And these are a little bit more advanced design features, and we're going to do an in-class exercise that helps you practice all of these skills you learn in this chapter. So let's go ahead and make a new part. Let's select millimeters for this case. And what I'm going to start with is I'm going to start by creating a block. So I'm using our design features tool now. And in our last few lectures we focused on making an extrude, a revolve. We looked at some of these also solid spheres that are available to us. So in this particular exercise we're going to be looking at this section of the advanced design features, and in this particular lecture we're looking at holes. So let me create a block. I'm going to leave the specified point as the origin in this case. I'm going to create a block with the dimensions 100 by 80 by 10. I'm going to hit OK. So here you see the block that we've created. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start by creating a simple hole. So I'm going to go to Insert, Design Features, and I'm going to select Hole. You see another menu has come up here that allows us to pick the point we want on this shape that will allow us to create a hole. Let me select this face. Let's select face of block 1. Okay. And where I want to create this hole is I want to create it 30 millimeters from both edges of the plane. So let's use our Infer Dimensions tool, and let's select the edge, and let's select the point that we've created where we want our hole, and I say I want it 30 millimeters. So I'm going to constrain it to be 30 millimeters here. Select the point. I'm going to say I want it 30 millimeters. So once I've completed selecting my dimensions of where I want this hole to be, I'll just click Finish Sketch, and you'll see the whole preview will appear. Now the type of hole that we're going to be working with is we're going to be looking at a general hole, and I just want a simple type. I believe that the type of hole that you'll see when you start this project is going to be a value, so we can specify the value of the hole depth that we want. But in this case what I'm selecting is I want a through the body hole, and I want the distance to be 10 millimeters. Once we've set how we want this hole, where we want it, how we want it to look, we're just going to go ahead and click OK, and you see in our solid shape now we've created a hole that goes through our solid object. So one of the things I did was I set one of the constraints as a through body. So what that lets us do is it lets us change the shape of this object, and as the shape of this object changes, so if it gets thicker, the size of the hole will also adjust itself to accommodate the size of the hole. So that's one benefit of using some of these different tools. We're going to talk about some of the others here as we go. Let's create another hole here. Let's look at creating a hole. So let's go to Insert, Design Feature, Hole. And I'm going to specify another point on here. Let's say this point right here. And let's constrain it. Let's say we want it to have the same location as our other one, where we have this set as 30 millimeters from the edge. Okay, and we want it also 30 millimeters from this edge. So we have the dimension set. We'll click Finish Sketch to get back to the hole menu. In this case, what I'm going to select instead of a general hole is I'm going to select a threaded hole. So a threaded hole is essentially a hole where we have grips for a screw to hang on to. So you might recognize these as kind of the corkscrew shape that is going through a hole, or is something that we specify whenever we're manufacturing something, so we know what type of screw to use. So in this case, I've selected a threaded hole, and I've selected a size of M6, and all these other features, you know, we'll get into some of these other properties as we go along. But for now, let's just go ahead and create this threaded hole. And what you notice is it looks a little bit different from the just general hole that we created, in that we have a little beveled edge. And that's indicating to us that this is actually a threaded type hole. Now, we don't actually see the threads here, and that has to do with NX saving some memory and graphical power. But the hole is in fact threaded, and you can look at your part history here, in fact, and you can see that we did specify that it's a threaded hole. If you guys ever want to go back to your history of what you've been doing, you can always go back to the threaded hole or any of the different options we selected, and we can modify those as we go. Okay, so for both of these, I've selected a through body type hole. Let's do one other type of hole here. Let's look at a countersunk hole. Let me select one more. So I'll go to Insert, Design Feature, Hole. And in this case, I'm not going to constrain it. I just want to show and illustrate this different type of hole feature. So I'm going to select the point on this face. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click Finish Sketch to create the hole. And now, instead of a threaded hole, I'm going to select a screw clearance hole. Okay, so this is just a different type of hole that we're creating. What I'm going to select is I'm going to select a countersunk hole. You can see some of the other options that we have. Countersunk. I'm going to select the screw size to be M10. It's a particular screw. And I'm going to also select through body. So once again, it's going to stop at the end of this body or shape. And what you'll see when I click OK is that we've created a hole that's countersunk, or it looks like if we had a screw that we screwed in here, it may be flush with the surface if we decided to screw that into here. So those are the basic tutorials going over the hole functions. I'll cover a few others, tapered hole, and we'll also look at a pocketing on a surface of a solid object, and we'll wrap it up with a grooving feature that's available to us. I'm going to assign you then an in-class exercise due at the end of the week, and then we'll move on to Chapter 7, where we'll talk about some other design features.